Crises of Humanity, Chapter 12, My Cosmic View. The circulating macrocosmos, life and the swirl of the universe. Flowing clouds, streaming rivers, the setting sun, changing seasons, and the leaves on the tree entrust life and hope to the next generation as they cease existing themselves. Things transform as they go around the universe. All creatures, including me, as well as stars, are all born and they die. Maybe the point when the transforming flow of elementary particles of the universe change is the events of birth and death. All existence in the universe continues an eternal journey called circulation, while the swirl of the elementary particles transform themselves. If you look at this flow as a process of departure, entrusting hope to the succeeding generations, I feel that the soil, grass, insects, trees, forests, stones, rocks, mountains, even the moon, stars, the sky, and the entire universe, which I really don't understand, are very lovely, considering that all lives are formed from the same vortex of the elementary particles as I. Living in the countryside, my wife and I enjoy strolling in woodlands and valleys, and enjoy encounters with babbling brooks and the many lives surrounding us. At home, we enjoy watching all kinds of lives come into the trees in our garden. These are precious days left for my wife and me. The lives around us will depart when the time comes for each of them. They try to live as long as possible, but at the end they calmly accept their fate, entrusting their hope to the following life, and return to the eternal journey called the circulation of the universe. It seems to be not a big issue when a single life out of the infinitive number of lives throughout the ages disappears from the earth. Even if the earth and the sun disappear, the universe apparently remains silent. But if we view the universe as a consciousness in itself, it is just the same whether the entire universe disappears or I disappear, and that is an unfathomably fearful thought. My life is only one in a few decades of the history of the universe. I will have experienced joy, sorrow, loneliness, and fear of departure, feelings I would have never known had I not been born. What is life? Since I was a child, when I came across a babbling brook, I always liked to watch the stream flowing down, and I still do. There is a swirl, where the water flows over or around a rock. The swirl stays at the same place no matter what. Curious, I picked up a stone and threw it at the swirl. The swirl disappeared momentarily, but soon appeared again in the same place. Literature I have read says that in order to get rid of the deteriorated cells in a body, the body replaces all its cells in a few months to 1 year. Am I a completely different person from a year ago? If that is true, I will be glad if my brain cells with violent temper will be replaced by one's calm and a clear-minded disposition. Even though my whole body is replaced, my ego remains. Is there any difference between the swirl which stays in the stream and my ego? Is the identity of life something like the swirl? I have also heard an expression saying that life is like the fire of a candle, but I prefer to refer to it as the swirl, as it makes me feel more like being in the current of the universe. If life is like a swirl, that means that cells simply flow through the body without any beginning or end in life, just like elementary particles swirling in the infinite flow of the universe, except for momentary stagnations once in a while. When I look up at the universe from this perspective of the concept of swirl and circulation, the whole universe feels like a single organism, and I feel my mind expanding into the universe. I see any number of sizes of swirls, from the atomic level microcosmic swirl of an electron to the large universe swirl in the night sky, all the swirls being tied in harmony and circulating in the magnificent universe. According to the theory of thermodynamics, it is said that there is an order in the circulation of the universe. For example, swirls of elementary particles assemble to become atoms, atoms become molecules, molecules become cells, and cells linking together with the circulating blood become a swirl of multicellular elements, which is the human body, a circulating microcosm in itself. Humans consume other lives, the discharge of which will be consumed by future lives. Having the bonds of life, mankind is a part of the circulation of the life. Looking at the lives around us, thinking about the chain of bonds of life, it is natural to think that in this universe, one is born to give life to others after departing from one's own life. Why do some of mankind burn corpses without giving them to the other creatures? As humans, a small circulation living in the biological circulation, which is a rank higher, we are living thanks to the lives of the others. And even such biological circulation can exist thanks to the circulation of the earth. Therefore, I would like to humbly value the lives of others and be mindful of the limits of the circulation of the earth. The earth also belongs to a circulation, that is, of our sun. A star is comprised of infinite particles that have condensed within the large circulation of the universe. And the galaxy is comprised of those stars assembling together, forming a swirl. Our lives cannot be separated from the bonds of the universe, as everything is all connected, from the small circulation such as blood, to biological circulation, to the circulation of the earth, and ultimately to the larger circulation of the universe. We cannot live apart from the bonds of the universe. We are small swirls, just like the swirls of stars and galaxies that appear and vanish within the magnificent universe. Although different in size, our swirls are similarly composed of elementary particles. Thus, the children of the universe are born from the same large circulation of the elementary particles of the universe. Our Earth and the stars will return to the circulation of the universe when the time comes to die, and will become some other existence. We and the stars will all allow ourselves to go with the flow of the infinite elementary particles, and probably are now en route on an eternal journey. My body must be a transformation of a star, which exploded a long time ago and died somewhere in the universe. Which part of the universe did I come from? If we look at this from a circulation point of view, it can be said that this universe is one of the larger circulations. Or will this universe be sucked into a huge black hole and transform into an order of another universe? Like the countless explosions of supernova, there might be countless universes. Or, if we ever pass through the black hole, the time flow might be reversed. According to the science of the universe, it is said that time expands and contracts. So, when you're running and competing against light, the expansion and contraction of time, which is a relative phenomenon, is no longer a wonder, and dreams can expand to become infinitively large. We are able to have this joy because humans were given cerebrum. I like this feeling that I am part of a larger circulation of the universe, where the stars, Earth, various lives, and myself are all of the same composition, all swirls of elementary particles of varying sizes. I can feel the sense of unity with the universe whenever I encounter a new season. Spending my days in the countryside, surrounded by the circulation that includes lovely birds, forests, and streams, I can feel from the beat of my heart that my body is directly connected to the circulation of the universe. While I am living in the circulation where the 4 seasons are rotating appropriately for Earth's creatures, I notice that I do not have to worry about the future. Although the rotating 4 seasons are the same, I enjoy them each year, similar to the joy I feel when, as I repeat to read a book word by word, I have discovered some new aspect of the heart of the author. I enjoy the deepening unity with the universe as the years go by. From ancient times, religious leaders and sages have been warning us against becoming attached to goods, money, and mind. This is probably because they have realized from meditation and intuition the truth about the large circulation of the universe. The truth of the universe being God may be the basis of the religions. In the universe, there are laws of forces, such as circulation, diffusion, and contraction. These forces, such as the force of gravity, electromagnetic force, and nuclear force, all of which are different in intensities, seem to act in harmony and equally on each elementary particle existing in the micro-universe to the macro-universe. I think it will be more straightforward if we term this comprehensive law of the power of this universe as God. It seems to me that the law to which God kept directing mankind is the renunciation of greed and obsessions, and to become one of the members of the swirl, be in solidarity with other lives, and follow the order of the circulation of the universe. I began to feel the joy of living with the bonds of the circulation of this universe, and am happy now that I understand the wisdom that the indigenous people of the world left for us, and the heart of the circulation that flows in the underlying culture, which are folk songs, folk dances, fairy tales, haiku, poetry, and paintings created by our ancestors. Mankind has rebelled against God, while at the same time honoring God. While modern people worship the works of religious leaders and sages, it would be mere idol worship without adapting the attitude to live in the large circulation of the universe and having concern about the mass consumption that has gone beyond the Earth's circulation capacity. Isn't disregarding the truth of the universe the sin of idolizing a fantasized God? The majority of the people in the world belong to some kind of religion. The non-religious are actually in the minority. If most of those people who belong to those religions really believe in God, then I think that mankind would be peaceful and happy. In other words, there is still hope even now that we can return to the laws God chose. Sitting in front of the embodying risk of living environment, it reminds me of the scene of Buddha sitting down and preaching the truth of the universe, or the part in the Old Testament where God punished the people in the desert for moving away from his love into idolatry. The starlit sky and the light of the house. I think about those people back in the early days of mankind who watched the mountains and the starlit sky from the same place where I am sitting now. What were they thinking? What kind of dreams did they have? And what hope did they entrust to the succeeding generations? And what kind of earth will we leave when we depart? After discovering fire, they must have spent nights by the bonfire. The surroundings must have been completely dark. Were there fireflies? I imagine them looking up into the airy night sky, The topic of conversation must have been about the beautiful night sky full of infinite mystery. The more they think the mystery of the universe, the more the imagination turns into fantasy in their dream, and perhaps it would seem like a voice from above. Myths also might have started in this way. Even after mankind became familiarized with fire and was able to have light during the night sky must have been still quite beautifully rotating all over the earth, and it must have aroused the imagination of the people. We can imagine how much time people spent looking at the stars from the surprising knowledge they had about the movement of stars, when even in recorded history they had no telescope. And finally, mankind invented electric light and the steam engine. Since then, mankind has been living with a mysterious illusion called the time thief. Nowadays, those who watch the night skies are either those who have plenty of time and mind to spare, or those who do so as a job. I think the reason why we modern people stop watching the night sky and stop thinking about the universe is not only because we are busy, but also perhaps because of the way modern urban houses are built. At night, once the street lights and room lights are lit and the blinds come down, the bond between the night sky and humans is severed. I noticed this during a climb of the Himalayas, when I was talking with the chief Sherpa watching the night sky while we were walking to base camp. The size of the universe, my sense. One of the joys I had as a commercial pilot was that I had a lot of time to watch the night sky. This was because I tended to have chances to pilot many night flights, popular with passengers who wanted to sleep in the aircraft and immediately start their day when they arrived at their destination in the morning. When flying on autopilot, the night sky doesn't move. Thus, you don't feel you are flying almost at the speed of sound. Except for the occasional shooting star penetrating the night sky, there is only a lonely silence that stays still in the utterly dark space. As I gaze at the stars, my mind wanders back to a world that only ancient creatures had seen. What I see from the cockpit window during a night flight is a universe full of the night sky. Thinking about the size of the universe as often as I do, I had memorized figures somewhere along the line. After I retired and moved to the countryside, the surroundings are dark and I have a lot of chances to look up at the night sky. So, remembering those figures, I let my mind wander the universe, watching the stars. I tried to have my wife memorize these figures as well so she can let her mind wander the universe with me. But due to her Alzheimer's disease affliction, sadly, she cannot really understand the universe in 3 dimensions. Although it makes me feel somewhat guilty to watch the universe using these figures, understanding the depth of a star and the space to the end of the universe gives me a joyous sensation of feeling like a part of the universe family every time I look up at the night sky. And I will write it down here so that it can be used as reference. To make it easy to remember, the figures are simplified into units of 5 and 10. I didn't even dare qualify the figures with about, since that might make one think it was a rough estimate or that it might be wrong. But to get a sense of the universe, which expands at the speed of light, even a significant error will not deter it from making sense of the universe. The figures are based on the speed of light, which is 1 billion kilometers per hour. First is the solar system. It takes only 1 second to the moon and 10 minutes to the sun. So the sun we are seeing now is the sun 10 minutes ago. There are 10 planets, 30 minutes between them. Because the edge of the solar system is 5 billion kilometers away, the radius of the solar system is 5 hours. Next, the distance between stars suddenly becomes longer, and it takes 5 years even at the speed of light. So I consider anything within the edge of the solar system as one of my relatives, since the edge of the solar system is as close as 5 hours, whereas the closest star is 5 years away. Among the countless stars in the night sky, when I think as I'm looking up at the night sky of the fact that the nearest star is in its form of 5 years ago, all kinds of thoughts, feelings of love and hate, even the fact that I have lived until now becomes sublimated or evaporated to the universe into which I become drawn. What a lonely existence in the universe are the sun and ourselves. I can visualize our solar system floating alone in the space of the universe. If we think in this way, the term universe shouldn't just refer to the outer limits of Earth's gravitational sphere, but at least should include the outermost planets of our solar system. The galaxy consists of 100 billion lonely stars like our sun, all in a swirling form, and it takes 1 million years at the speed of light until you reach the next galaxy. I feel sympathy to Mr. Light, who in our minds is a hard worker, being so fast. But actually, Mr. Light is too slow for the universe. The universe is said to be expanding, so the distance between the galaxies floating in this space is still widening. And there are 100 billion galaxies in the universe, so the journey to the end of the universe will be 15 billion years at the speed of light. And there may be a world of a different level beyond the end of the universe. Coming back to the solar system, the Earth rotates around the Sun at a speed of 100,000 kilometers per hour, which is a tremendous speed in terms of flying. But being on Earth is the same feeling as being on an aircraft, a sense of just floating in the sky. We go around the Sun riding on Earth. It is a journey that takes a year, that is to say 1 billion kilometers per revolution. Due to the Earth's tilted axis, we can experience the 4 seasons during one revolution. The 4th season gives me great joy and appreciation for being born as a life. I will appreciate everything without complaining how hot or cold it is, and accept everything, even the worst storms, simply as they are. Soon, though, I want to return to the soil uncremated. I will revert to molecule when I become ashes by being cremated, which I dislike. I will depart on a long journey, but I will be traveling together with the earth for a while. According to the science of the earth and the universe, after hundreds of millions of years, the earth's atmosphere, contrary to present condition, will lack carbon, and the life forms depending on photosynthesis, like us, are destined to disappear. Life was born 3.8 billion years ago, but will disappear hundreds of millions of years from now. The Earth will keep rotating around the Sun, and after 5 billion years, it will be absorbed by the enlarged Sun. Then the Earth vaporizes, its molecules, including ones derived from myself, turning into gas and departing for a new eternal journey into the large universe. I wonder what kind of world is waiting there. The stars, like the Sun, also grow. They age and die just like us and will also continue to circulate in different form. Thinking of this process, the stars, the earth, as well as life and mankind, all of those are not special existences in the universe, but the small elementary particles which exist universally as the same space families born from the Big Bang. While boundless elementary particles are eternally circulating, fading out and reborning in different existences. Thus, all the existence in the universe is equal, from mankind's good to evil, happiness and unhappiness, and my birth and death are all inevitable in the course of the transience of the universe. It is hard to find appropriate words, but perhaps a fluctuation of a mirage of elementary particles in the large circulation of the universe may be a close description. Although it was a modest trip, taking only 1 second at the speed of light, mankind has made it to the moon in search of an expansion of the human sphere. Until then, the night sky and the universe was a world of infinite dreams and intellectual curiosity. But that dream has changed to the desire to develop space around the Earth, and now a layer of garbage is starting to surround the Earth. Will mankind be trapped on Earth, surrounded by garbage? As science and technology develop to make life more convenient, people no longer watch the night sky, and the heretofore dreams of space are fading. It seems that the mind of mankind is becoming just a shell, excluding not only the night sky, but also the lives of the others, dealing only with small computer games in their own little world. The new brain that mankind is proud of expands the dream towards the universe on the one hand, but is strongly orientated towards inorganic issues on the other hand. And it seems that the instincts of the old brain, which is necessary for survival, have faded. This is a process of disorderly diffusion of the universe, or possibly degeneration rather than evolution. Strangely enough, perhaps it is a normal process of diffusion and transformation of the universe that life, an amazing thing, will disappear hundreds of millions of years from now. Daydreams about what comes after death. Watching the sunset from my veranda makes my mind a little lonely. It must be because it reminds me of my mother going out of my sight when I was a child. When sunset arrives at the edge of the southern Japan Alps, I feel that the huge Earth has made one rotation. It is the world of the Ptolemaic theory, which makes us feel as if the Earth is not spinning. With Earth as my vehicle, I have already gone around the sun 82 times. After a few more times, I will say goodbye to my human form and become a micromolecule. What I've related up to now is something that will happen to me in the near future for sure. I wonder what my molecules, which will be scattered after my death, will become a part of. In addition to the fear of dying, there's also a sense of a vague nirvana. Isn't this the law of life, that one's life is given from the lives of the others? So when that life dies, it should be given to the others? Buddha is said to have told his close disciples that they do not have to save his bones, nor have a funeral. I think he also does not recommend burning remains, knowing the laws of the universe and valuing the law of life. I want to settle down soon and trusting myself calmly to the laws of the universe. It might even be quite fun that once I die, I might get the answers to all the questions I had. If I am to be reborn, will it be a wonderful thing to be reborn as a human? It might be more fun to imagine being reborn as another existence. But I am attracted to the world of humans because I have experienced many things and spent a lot of time with humans. So naturally, I have a bias toward the world of mankind. What will happen if I am not chosen to be reborn as a human? I think it will be disappointing if I am not chosen to be born as a human, since I will be leaving behind those people who were precious to me or made me happy, and never come to an understanding each other with those who hated me. It must be sad to go to the other side and leave behind a person who is lonely, because I wanted to stay with a person when that person is feeling lonely, rather than feeling happy. If I am to be reborn as a human, I want to be in the world where the words for wishing happiness for each other are mutually understood. That is because I had the painful experience of caring for some people who built a thick wall around the heart when I wished to live hand in hand with those people, encouraging each other. Once a person closes the mind, that person will not accept anything you say. It is true in any type of relationship. For instance, love. When things cool off, what used to be a kind and affirmative association becomes downright mean. It should be the opposite for love to simply change to affection. The words of religious sutras are really beautiful. Although it would be natural for believers to interpret them in a good way, it seems that people do not make the effort to interpret the hearts of others in a good way rather than a bad way, or be fair rather than sly. Although there may be some critics of what I write, I have a strong longing for a world where minds understand each other. People may feel isolated after all, but if words cannot communicate, then connection by instinct will have far better results. Just look at the fact. The seeing eye dogs read the handicapped person's minds, guarding them from danger. If such training can be done for seeing eye dogs, I wonder why this cannot be done for children, a far easier task, it seems, so they understand the minds of their parents, or so the adults will understand each other's minds. I have the joy to have met a precious person who spared time for me, not leaving me behind. I don't think that a lifetime is so long that you don't make the time to try and understand each other when you had the precious chance to meet and share at least some time together. At the risk of sounding greedy, I would like to be reborn in a world which I wish from my heart would not be so busy, so that there would be sensitivity to the human mind, and that there would be no hatred nor gap between the rich and the poor. More than that, indifference might take one far from the bonds of life. Hatred is a sentiment you feel because you are interested in that person, so you will probably help that person from dying. Sometimes hatred becomes love. What a nice thing to meet a mind that has gone beyond love and hate. But there will be no such chance for indifference or negligence. Isn't the gap between the rich and the poor created out of indifference? I think all the roots of evil come from the gap between the rich and the poor. Looking back my life, I think there were more sad moments than joyful ones. I think I felt more sadness probably because my efforts to please people were not enough. At least that's what I tell myself is the case. The moment I felt joyful and happy to be alive was when I saw kindness of life in the minds of others. But strangely, I got my eyes watery with joy for other people's happiness rather than my own. Perhaps because of the belief that the intelligence of mankind is something supreme in the universe, mankind figures centrally in religious scriptures with seldom any reference to other lives. I think this is because these scriptures were written by the disciples. If we regard intelligence as mankind's sole superior evolution, the compassion towards other lives, which is solidarity of life, will fade. The inability to realize that mankind is supported by the bonds with the lives of others will make it difficult to escape the solitude of loneliness. I think about the death of lives other than humans, those lives that I ate, and birds, cats, dogs, and trees that have lost their lives because of me. There are also lives that I've stepped on without noticing. Were there any people who became unhappy or even died because of me? What a horrible thought. I think how tragic for those scientists whose discoveries about the law of the universe or the earth have indirectly caused many tragedies to people and other lives. What fate that I was born as a human, when life is at the point of being threatened with extinction. The degraded life environment will definitely remain with the generations to follow. All the people around the world will experience the feelings of the current poor people. Mankind with strong vitality tend to survive. But if those who care only their survival survive, they would not care about the lives of others, and the same crisis will be repeated. There is hope for the future of mankind only if they seek to survive in solidarity. Thinking about the fate of mankind, I feel like I can't die and leave things the way they are. If a few millionaires in the world provide half of their assets before the value of the money crashes for redemption or to recover the global environment, there will be a completely different future left to the next generations. They can proudly leave their names in the history of mankind. The so-called electronic fantasy money bubble, an astonishing amount of assets, will soon burst. As I write about these post-mortem fantasies, I was reborn into the current world of many worries. I wonder if the ancient people also fantasize as I am doing while having their consciousness in the present. Perhaps this became a scenario of some horror stories. Anyhow, if there is a world where you can live eternal life, that is also nice. But even if not, if a force that is beyond the knowledge of mankind created the universe and transformed it, then we should leave our mind and body to the laws of the circulation of the universe. This is what I've been talking over with my wife. And finally, it is my greatest regret that I did not treat my children in a loving way because of my violent temper. I thought the influence I had on their young minds, which had not developed an idea of abstraction, must have left a strong impression. So I've taught them especially about the kindness towards life. But instead, what remained in their young minds was not parental love, but the abuse associated with me, as they still insist. It is a big pain in my heart before departure. I have used the Japanese character yu, which means kindness, in the names of my 2 children and my grandchild, with the hope that they will become persons who will be sensitive to the sorrows of other people. The only way of life I have wished for them was to spend their days considering the lives of the others, and have a mind and outlook to hope for others to be happier. Now at this point in my life, I believe that this is a skill of heart that one needs to nurture in order to get joy from one's life. If I were to be reborn as a human, I would definitely like to become a compassionate father and a grandfather. I will depart hoping that someday my children and grandchild will read this book, word by word, which I wrote with all my strength as a prayer for the generations who will be living in a degrading bioenvironment. About my wife, we were born in this world and met each other by chance, and with whom I spent more than half a century. Before departing for the long journey, I have come to understand that my wife's mind was more important than mine. As my wife is thinking that my mind is valuable, that is fine. Recently, my wife comes up to me from time to time and says, "I love Kouken." Kouken is my name. I asked her what she likes about me with a violent temper, and she immediately replied, "It is your heart I like." These unexpected words from my wife, who is in the last stages of her mental disease, is the most precious gift in my life. I thank the mystery of the brain. My wife is enthusiastically revved up to keep on smiling until the last minute, and therefore she is very cheerful. Even if her condition may worsen and she starts to not recognize who I am, I want her to keep smiling like she does now, and softened the hearts of people around her bed until the day of her departure. End of Chapter 12.